Now, you touched on measurement before, especially in the agency brand partnership area. I think legacy has a lot to account for with these kind of off the mark measurements. How would you suggest marketers kind of rethink or assess what they're measuring right now and what they really should have their focuses on?
For me, again, I focus with that on how.
Mm-hmm.
What you measure, I cannot really determine what is a good measurement for a marketer. I mean, I will have an idea, and I'll certainly won't be shy to talk about that. But for me, it is more about how do you make measurement part of your sort of integrated DNA of how you do marketing. What I see way too often is that we spend enormous amounts of money on the ideation, the creation, the production, and then the implementation. And we spend 10% or less of our sort of marketing budget on finding out, well, did it actually work? Right?
Yeah.
One of the worst things that as a marketer you can say is, that was great. Let's do it again, but bigger. Right?
Yes.
Because there are so many decisions in that simple sentence, and you hear it a lot, right? Something was
Mm-hmm.
potentially great, or it was at least perceived as great, but let's define by what it was great, right? So let's understand what would make us say that we actually feel like, yeah, it was great, and because here are the four or three or 10, whatever key metrics that we were trying to influence, and look, they all moved in the direction that we wanted. Great, right? But also, let's do it again is a huge decision, right? I have
Mm-hmm.
worked with marketers where they were doing something and they were like the first ones out of the gate to sort of find this new or different or innovative way of connecting with consumers. As a result, if you are that first one out of the gate, very often then a lot of your competitors will follow, right? They'll do something similar, or they'll
Mm-hmm.
they'll react or respond. And so for next year, it may not be that unique or innovative or new or different thing so much anymore. So let's make sure that we really evaluate how we do that work and then make a decision about whether that is still the right thing to do again the next time around.
Yeah,
So
I
let's
oh
do it
please.
again is not necessarily a given for me. And then, but bigger is usually also something, right? If it was deemed a success, then we want to do more of it. Well, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes the way you did it is actually why it was successful, and more might not
Mm-hmm.
lead to more success. And sometimes maybe you need to conclude, well, let's do it again, but maybe a little smaller because either there's more competition now, or maybe with a little bit less, it doesn't have to cost as much time and effort and to get it done, etc. So yeah, measurement is really important, but what is important to me from measurement is that you build it into your process as a step and
Mm.
not sort of do some casual, let's do it again but bigger at the end, but let's have a structured end sort of step in your work process where you do the measurement, have set goals against which you will determine your success, and then have, as part of that step, also a discussion and a decision about, do we do that again? Do we do it bigger? Do we do it at all, etc.
I love the nuance of that because you're so right. And a lot of this is now it's occurring to me. A lot of this is impulse control. You see success and yeah, hit the button,
Yeah.
hit the button, hit the button, but you really need to know the contextual nature of that success. Martin, that was just brilliantly put. I really do appreciate it.